I found something in the trash at work that sent my manager to prison for 2 years. Nate was 19 years old and had autism. He stocked shelves at the grocery store where I worked. He never complained and never called in sick. He just showed up and did his job every single day. Nate carried this little notebook everywhere and wrote down every hour he worked. I always thought it was just a quirk. Vince was our manager and something about him always felt off. He was always hovering around Nate and everyone thought he genuinely cared about the kid. I did too. One night I was taking out the trash and found a crumpled time card in the dumpster. It had Nate's name on it with 30 hours scratched out in pen. I recognized Vince's handwriting immediately. I started paying attention after that and what I saw made me sick. Every night at 7, Nate would clock out, but he never actually left. Vince would walk over and say, "Practice time, buddy." Nate would nod and keep working until 10 or 11 while Vince sat in his office doing nothing. I finally asked Nate why he stayed so late, and he looked at me like I was the confused one. "Vince says I need extra practice because my disability makes me slower. He says I'll get fired if I don't put in the hours." This kid genuinely believed working for free was normal, and it broke my heart. I did the math and realized it had been 8 months of unpaid labor adding up to hundreds of stolen hours. Then I started noticing things that made my blood boil. Vince was showing off his brand new motorcycle, while Nate ate crackers for dinner because he could not afford real food. One night, Nate told me he gave up on ever getting his own place. "I never have enough money," he said. "I can't figure out why." I had to walk away before I lost it because I knew exactly why. Then it got worse. I overheard Vince on the phone laughing. "This kid works for free and thanks me for it every night. Easiest money I ever made." That Friday, Vince screamed at Nate in front of a whole line of customers. "You're too slow to deserve real pay." Nate just stood there apologizing with tears running down his face while everyone watched. Nobody said a word. I could not take it anymore. I stormed into Vince's office and demanded to know why Nate was not getting paid. Vince leaned back in his chair and laughed right in my face. "What's that slow kid gonna do about it? Call a lawyer?" I called corporate that weekend and reported everything. I thought they would finally stop him. Monday morning, Vince called me into his office and he was smiling. "My brother runs the complaint department," he said. "He forwarded me everything you reported. You're fired." Security walked me out while Nate watched from the registers looking confused and scared. He gave me this sad little wave and I had to hold back tears. Vince stood at the door waving goodbye with the biggest grin on his face. I sat in my car shaking for 10 minutes before I drove straight to the state labor board. The investigator's eyes went wide when I showed her the time card and explained everything. She made 3 phone calls before I finished talking and told me to stay away from the store until she contacted me. 2 weeks later, she called. "We're moving in Friday." I park across the street and watch 3 state vehicles pull into the lot. My heart is pounding. They question Vince for almost an hour, and I can see him through the window pacing back and forth. Then they bring Nate in. Vince is sitting in the corner with his lawyer arguing that Nate is too disabled to be a reliable witness. For 20 minutes, Nate barely says anything, and I am gripping my steering wheel getting more anxious by the second. Then the investigator asks one simple question, and everything changes. Nate told me later what he said. "I told them Vince made me work every night without pay. I told them he said I would be fired if I stopped." Then Nate pulls out his notebook. He reads out loud every single date and hour for 8 months of stolen wages, all written in his own handwriting. Vince completely loses it. He flips a chair and starts screaming that Nate is a liar who cannot be trusted. He lunges toward Nate, but the investigators slam him against the wall and put him in handcuffs. The whole store watches Vince get dragged out kicking and screaming. Nate got $32,000 back and texted me a photo from his new apartment with the biggest smile. Vince got 2 years.